evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. Am I loud? Loud enough? I get louder. Everybody knows that. And I haven't had a whole lot of caffeine today, but if I did, I'd be way louder than that. Anyway, what a great group we have today. Seriously, really, great dream team here. George Eichhorn, my partner in crime for 45 years, is on.
Yes, great to be on. Absolutely.
And Candy, my partner in crime, well, for the last 12 years, and boy, she was on a roll at the Super Bowl.
Enjoyed every minute of it. Glad I'm on.
And Mr. U will be on in a little while. Travis Holmes, my goodness, what a perfect time for Sherlock to come on, especially with some Jacksonville topics on display tonight. Welcome back, Travis.
Hey, thanks for having me back, sir.
You're very welcome. I'll hand the rock off to Mel Farr Jr. Welcome back, Mel.
How's it going, everybody?
All right, and last but not least, who do we have? Kerry Johnson. Great stuff. And guess what? We're going to go 7 tonight. Who cares? Got Mr. U on here for all of it. Now we can go 7. They say 8 is enough, but 7 is enough. And I got plenty of topics to go around. Make this a real kick-fuck show. Kerry Johnson, she's back, or at least on tonight, and she'll be coming on more often. So get used to this woman, because she's a chief person in every sense of the word. And you know what, Kerry? Glad to have you on. Great stuff. I love the work you do with Chicks and Salsa, 3 Chicks in a Pod, and wherever else. And now you're going to be part of the Inside the Pigskin family. And welcome here.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the invite. Can't wait.
Oh, you're welcome. Much appreciated. Get ready for more of them. And Mr. U is back in the house. Great stuff.
What's going on, family? I miss y'all, man. How y'all been?
We miss you too. We got a dream team here. Seriously, I guarantee one thing. I may not lose my voice tonight. I might a little, but not as much with more people doing all the work. It's okay. I got vocal cords that are in worse shape than a lot of brakes on old vehicles, but they still keep on rolling and rolling and rolling. All right, let's talk about breaking news and great news for us as Inside the Pigskin as a family here. Our coach, John Bonamego, was hired as an assistant special teams coach for the University of Tennessee. He's been with us the last couple years, and you know what? Here's what he said to me in our group text. Thank you all. It's been an absolute whirlwind. Appreciate each and every one of you. Sorry I won't be able to come on the show, but y'all like family. Thank you for providing me with an outlet. I have had a huge hole in my heart for the last 2 years. It's been filled. This is the perfect role and place for me. Arrived in Knoxville earlier today, and I am off and running. Well, I guess what I'm going to have to do with this guy is I'm going to have to go up to Knoxville to go ahead and get him a book that he's in, but we'll work on that later on. So anyways, for a lot of you guys that have worked with him, Candy, what are your reflections of Coach Bono?
It's always nice to have his intellect and his inside information. Both him and Mel and all of you guys bring a different element to the show. And I just loved it from the coach's perspective, because sometimes we forget, some of you have played, like I've never played, but so those of you that have played and coached, you bring a different perspective that I always love. And he's just a really great guy.
George?
Yeah, I've had the privilege of knowing him, obviously, through your show, Scott. And Coach Bonamego has been a really good man. And obviously, I've got a good place for him in my heart, because he coached at Central Michigan, as we know, way back when. And he's a very intelligent man, obviously, and has kept his name out there to further his career. So I'm happy for him. Very happy.
Okay, well, Travis, we all worked on. Well, welcome to the show, Mr. First Down.
It's my guy.
Your guy. Look at that, Mr. First Down. Love it, man. If you could do us a kind favor, brother, why don't you go out there and please subscribe to the South Florida YouTube channel, because Mr. U's going to be on, and I couldn't think of a perfect debut return from Mr. U. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Much appreciated. All right, Mr. U, do you have any recollections of Coach Bono? Were you ever on the show with him?
Of course.
All right, well, go ahead. Spit it out, brother.
I can't tell you what he texts me from time to time, because it's not PG. But I love Coach Bono, man. I'm so excited for him, man. He's been really strong on the ministry when it comes to sports. The things he shared with me, I'm like, the insight, I can go on and try to Google stuff, but hearing it from him, what he's actually experienced and what he saw, I love picking his brain. So I'm going to miss him. Hope I can still do that from time to time, but I'm going to miss him a lot, man. He's a fantastic guy. He's texting me right now and showing me love, but it's all good, man. Coach Bono he's that dude. He's him. So I'm just
That's a great show to come back on, Mr. You God Almighty. Oh, Nelly, we got Mr. You back in the house. We got this guy. Don't worry. I'm just getting wind up. I only got 6 more topics to talk about and a little bit of a voice to work with. But it's okay. I got a great supporting cast of a half a dozen here. Travis, you and I and Mel and Bo, we worked with him a lot. What are your thoughts about Coach Bono?
Long overdue, man. I mean, that's really what it's come down to. I'm happy that he finally got the role with Tennessee. And honestly, I think a lot of these other colleges, a lot of these other NFL teams, that they're going to realize they missed out and come knocking on his door and maybe offer him a bag. We're hoping those good things for Coach. But yeah, hey man, I'm happy he got it. Obviously, he has a warm place in my heart just because he's real cool people. I mean, there's just full stop there. But everything on top of that, obviously, you're a former Jacksonville Jaguars coach. I mean, that's it. That's all we gotta say. You're cool people for my team. Yeah, man, we are good. I hope Tennessee treats you well, sir, and I hope that one day, however long in the future, whenever you want that to be, we'll see you back on. So yeah, good luck, Coach.
Well, we'll find a way to get him on. He's not running for me. You got to remember one thing about this guy. I got a clothing line on my website because of him, so he'll owe me a favor too before it's over. Let him get settled in there and do what he's got to do, but he's going to owe me one if he wants me to stay involved with that clothing line. But I'll give him some time to go ahead and settle into that a little bit. Best thing about Coach Bono, though, he is a true professional. And as I say, he is my book, Lessons from the Microphone. Mel, some thoughts about Coach Bono.
Yeah, it was kind of ironic. Coach and I met here, but we actually knew some people in common. He went to school with a couple of guys that I went to high school with. They both all played football down there at Central. And I've gotten to know Coach pretty well during the time that he's been on the show. And I talked to him last week. He was in the Atlanta airport, and he said he had been interviewing for a few coaching jobs, but wanted me to keep it under my hat. No, but I'm happy for him. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with the transfer portal and the NIL. After we talked about it so much, it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with that. But I'm happy for him because he's back where he loves to be, and that's out there coaching young men and developing young men and helping young men. So I'm happy for him.
Hey, covering games on Saturday. Heck, I left the NFL for a lot of years. Well, with Jacksonville, and I went to the University of Miami. I'm a proud Cane. I hope this guy comes down here to Miami at some point so we can, I guess we're not going to be on the same team, but I'm pretty much like to get another interview with him one-on-one. Hey, the Canes kicked your butt. But keep in mind the fact that he is going to Neyland Stadium, which has a capacity of 101,061. Neyland Stadium, one of the bigger, I hear one of the nice picturesque sets out there. So with Coach Bono out at Tennessee, let me give everybody an idea of what's going on here. In terms of what we're going to talk about the New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, the Jacksonville Jaguars playing in the London games. They have a good clip. We got 2 good clips, Mr. Yu. You're going to be in time just for both of them. But we one of DeAndre Hopkins, one of Travis Kelce. We're going to talk about the Patriots. We're going to talk about the Denver Broncos. You want to talk about a great show, Mr. Yu really will be on. It's part of a philanthropy effort. I know that, Mr. Yu, you're going to explain to us a little while what you do for the church, because it's really something I want to bring out and tie it in with the Broncos, if that's okay with you. And then we'll be able to talk about the Steelers and Daniel Jones and so forth. And Tony Gonzalez and Travis Kelce will have comments on him. So with that said, let's get to this contest. And in fact, the New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, and Jacksonville Jaguars are going to play in London 2025. We're just going to go right around the horn. George, what are your thoughts about these 3 playing in London next year?
Yeah, I mean, the obviously the league is looking for every opportunity they can to expand, and we've talked about it last week or two, and really this is something that the NFL wants to do. The thing that I don't quite understand is, how long, a team like the Lions aren't asked, or maybe they're told, I don't know, to go there. There's some crazy system, I guess, that I don't understand the whole system, but fans in Detroit would obviously like to see the Lions go abroad and play in one of these games. Now, you mentioned that those are the home teams. So there still is a chance the Lions may be picked because the league has not announced, I don't think, the visiting teams for the games in London and Berlin. Are they going? Berlin? And,
Well, I'll get to those. Let's focus
yeah.
on the London games. There's other
Yeah.
shows, George.
The
Let's stick to
London
London.
games, London Bridge is falling down. No, I'm not just
And if
kidding.
you don't stay on this topic, the George Eichhorn Bridge will be falling down. So
Well,
stay with London, my friend.
I think it's a good thing for the league. I'll leave it at that.
Well, all right. Well, you got the Jets going out there. You got the Browns and you got the Jaguars. We all know full well, and Travis will reinforce in a moment. Jaguars are dependent on London for a lot of reasons. But before we do that, we're going to bring it over to our new chick on the block, Carrie Johnson. What are your thoughts about these three going to London?
Please don't hate me, gentlemen, but here's the thing. If we're wanting to grow, congratulations to them. The Jags, I think, typically perform better in London than they did in America. I don't know why, but they have a very strong presence there, and congratulations to them. I hope that they take some of the higher powered teams over as well. I think back to when the Chiefs and Dolphins matched up in Berlin, and that was a powerhouse play. That was two powerhouse teams putting forth a game. I wonder how it will affect the building of the NFL brand over there with the teams that have not been performing at their best for the last couple of years. But other than that, congratulations. As far as teams being selected, I know that when Hunt was part of the committee, I don't know if he still is or not, the Chiefs were always volunteered to go, and we did a lot of overseas games to begin with, and it seems to have settled down a little bit on that. Right. I think at first it was more of a volunteer and so then whoever that you played would then be voluntold over there. But yeah, I hope it doesn't affect the viewership, because this year I did not get up to see those games. The teams that were playing did not entice me to want to get up early to watch football overseas.
All right, let's go to the chat room. Mr. First Down got some good stuff. Hello, Ralph Williams. Glad you're on tonight. As you're going to step on for out of tea, let me know where you're going to go. We'll meet up over there. All right, as a Titans fan, go away, Jags, run out to rainy old London. LOL, I like this guy already. As a Titans fan, I can see a little bit of a rivalry there. Candy, thoughts about the London games?
Well, the Jets and the Jags actually hold marketing rights in the UK as part of the league's Global Markets program. It's an initiative that awards NFL clubs international marketing rights to build brand awareness and fandom beyond the US through fan engagement, events, and commercial opportunities. Let's face it, this is the 14th time that the Jags have played in the capital. Shad Khan had said the game is the pinnacle of the amazing work we do every day at a grassroots level, and I'm proud that our Jag Tag Flag football program reached over 100,000 young people in 2024, helping to grow the sport of American football outside the U.S. So the Jaguars years ago weren't bringing in the fans at home. So they were one of the first ones to jump on this international London bandwagon, and they've been doing it every year. Do I think it's great? I do, but as you know, all of you know that Scott and I were at the Super Bowl this week, the week before. So we got to talk to NFL players. We got to sit in on the NFL PA and talking about, international games and stuff like that. And what it takes for people to, the amount of travel and how that affects them and their body. We also have to be mindful of that as well. So where the NFL is great, it wants to grow its brand, it wants to grow money. Is this the best thing for the players? And I mean, they're talking years down the road. Will a team eventually be in London full time? Will there be a Super Bowl played outside of the U.S.? And to that one, I hope not. But they want to grow their brand. It's a business, and that's what we forget.
All right, Mr. U.
Right. I try to be brief. Sorry, I try to be brief on this. I know that there's at least 4 teams overseas, so to speak, or outside of the U.S. that are angling to hopefully have NFL team there full time. Not sure how that works logistically. All the points have been made so far really good. I don't know if it's good for the players. I feel like it has to be taxing. I mean, if you can fly from New York to Seattle and it's taxing, imagine going from New York to London. So I just kind of feel like there's a cost to be paid, and looks like the players are going to end up paying the most. The crazy part about this is that all the teams that they named, the Jets, the Browns, and the Jags, they're not great. You know, London needs to have football because they're trying to build something out there, and I get it. But like to Candy's point, or was it Carrie? I'm not sure which point it was. Sorry, ladies. But how about teams that are good, like the Lions? How about teams that are competitive? Would that help out at all to have them there instead of a team that are not doing so great, and they have all the three teams have issues in their own right? But I don't know if this is going to be a good product on the field there. And there's a couple of games that I'm missing. Normally, I don't really miss NFL games if I can help it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
9:30. I mean, it was like I wasn't awake, but I wasn't motivated to go and jump into this game. Not because it was in London. It wasn't the location per se. It was just the game that was being played. And most times I was proven right. The games were stinkers. So just something to think about. I'm sure Trav and Mill have some thoughts better than one I just gave you, but it's just something to think about.
I got some good thoughts, but you definitely let Travis right here because the guy went to Jacksonville.
There you go.
Area. He's in the Jacksonville area. He's got a season pass for these guys. So what a great segue, Mr. U. You have missed a beat, my brother, from another mother. All right. With that said, Travis, take it away.
I fully disagree with everybody. I'm sorry.
I said
I'm here for all the terrible football being played in London. I need to keep America great again. I need to keep American football happening in America to be the best games possibly on TV. And I'm well aware that the Jacksonville Jaguars have not been good in a solid amount of time. I'm also very aware that this New York Jets and the Indianapolis Colts and a lot of these other teams who have designations across in these other countries. The Colts are in Berlin. The Dolphins are Madrid's team. The Steelers are Dublin's team. Like, they're putting teams that, if you're not the best teams in the league, this sort of feels like Hard Knocks. It's not Hard Knocks like to that level, but it's kind of there. Like, we're going to designate you as one of those teams across the ocean because we guarantee to have bank. We are guaranteed to get money in these other stadiums because they're going to show up no matter what. They're going to show up if it's the New York Giants versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. That stadium is going to be full with people of all different uniforms on. They don't care. They don't know no better. They just there to spend this money and enjoy this time. And I'm here for it. Get the bag, NFL. Do your thing. Like, if that's what it takes, and from the Jacksonville Jaguars perspective, I'm really a fan of it because most people don't know, as the home team, you get you take home that additional revenue. So, like, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Shad Khan has frequently said that the team basically gets like a 15% increase in the amount of funds that they get from that game versus a regular home game in the States. And that's the same thing for all these teams. So from that perspective, that's money in the bank. And you can guarantee a primetime spot with no competition. So even people that may not be fans of your team are actually probably going to be watching. That's the NFL is king, man. Make that money.
All right, Mel, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Travis hit it right on the head. I mean, the NFL, they know what they're doing. You know, they're a marketing machine, and let's put these stinker games over in London because they'll know that those stadiums will fill up over there, that the people will come and show up. Nobody wants to watch the Cleveland Browns this year. Nobody wants to watch the New York Jets. We don't know they got a new coach here. I know Aaron Glenn's going to be there from Detroit, but they don't have a quarter. They got a problem at quarterback. That Cleveland has a problem at quarterback. Jacksonville, they have a new regime there as well. Nobody's going to be looking at those games. So the NFL did the smart thing. Let's designate these guys as the home team and ship them out that way. We know we're going to get the bag anyway. And they're greedy. They're being greedy right now and being a little bit arrogant by just throwing that product or those teams over there in that market, knowing that people are going to show up and watch them play because they're excited for American football. Now, as far as teams being located, I'm all for that, having teams over in Europe. I think that it's not much of a difference between, as I think Mr. Yu stated, going from New York to Seattle. I don't think it's that much of a difference. Might be an hour longer, and it's really not that difficult. The planes are pretty luxurious now. You can lay down, you can get some sleep, you can get some rest. You can, Russell Wilson proved he can do calisthenics and stretching and whatever else he was doing on the plane. So you can take care of your body on the plane traveling. But if they do that, it's an opportunity for the Players Association to increase their percentage. If you do put teams over there in Europe, it gives them, obviously the pie is going to get bigger, and it gives the association opportunity to negotiate or renegotiate their contract to make sure that the players are being taken care of and get a larger percentage of the revenues that come in.
Well, the reality is Shad Khan has made a lot of money with the Jaguars. You talk about a team that was, if it talks about going in from the red to the black, it's because he's made money with those games. I don't know if he owns a piece of Wembley Stadium or not, but the one thing about Shad Khan is, he's a shrewd businessman. That organization will ultimately turn around. They're building a new stadium to begin with, or the stadium within this stadium, to say the least. So this guy, to me, is just unbelievable. He really is. But, hopefully his new hires will allow him to gather a few more wins and gain some consistency with the coaching staff. Time will tell. But as I understand, I believe that Shad Khan had a boat parked over in New Orleans with it. I'm trying to remember how much is it. I'm looking for it right now. So, this guy here knows how to do things the right way. And, if the thing that people have to understand, if it weren't for Shad Khan, this franchise could have moved somewhere else by now. He's the reason why they still are in Jacksonville, and they should have a lot to be thankful for that he is there. And when I come up with this nugget, I'll go out there and do that. But what I'm going to do in the meantime is we're going to go to our first sound bite. Candy.
Well, I'm going to first wanted to just comment. Someone talked about how long the flight from Miami to London is 8 hours and 15 minutes, just to give you an idea. Now, flights from Miami to, let's say, Seattle. Time is 6 hours and 55 minutes. So you were right. It's little over an extra hour is all it is to go to London than from like Miami to Seattle.
But that's just one of the issues, and I know this isn't the subject. That's why I don't want to go too much of a rabbit trail. But I have an accounting degree. I'm an accounting major, and for me, the first thing my mind goes to is the money. Players would never agree to play in London for the sole purpose of they're not paying those London taxes, and they're going to have to get that waived somehow. And London has previously showed that they wouldn't be willing to waive it for the soccer club. So I'm not sure how the NFL will kind of pull that, but that would be the big one. It's all going to come down to how they're going to work that tax situation, because those players would have to pay the taxes for the games being played in London, just like they have to do the same thing for those teams in California versus the teams in Florida who have no state taxes. That's your biggest hurdle. That's the reason that they haven't had NFL in franchise.
They had the World League of American Football, and they had three franchises over in Europe. They had one in Berlin, they had one in London, and I think the other one was in Barcelona. Mm-hmm. And then you had the 7 teams in the States. And we did it. I only had to go overseas once. Some teams had to go overseas twice, but we took that long jaunt from Sacramento to Berlin. No, it was in Frankfurt. And we took that long trip, just like a regular trip. I think we might have left a day in advance or something like that, but maybe that's why we got beat so badly too. I don't know, but it can be done.
I know. I believe it could be done, but I think that's going to be the hardest thing, though. Yeah, I mean, I believe it can be done, but I think that's going to be a major hurdle.
Tax part. Yeah, tax part. You know, people don't want to get taxed twice. That's for certain.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I might, oh, sorry.
No,
I was going to say that when you have, and we know this happens, we see it often, when you have serious injuries, do the players want to be, per se, take Tua. Had he had a concussion in Berlin when he played the Chiefs, how long would he be stuck in Berlin because, through all of that? So that's another thing that you kind of have to think about is serious things do happen, and how are you getting those players taken care of over there and then getting them back home safely and all of that. So, I mean, there's things in place. We obviously know that with our war people, but it's still, it's another layer that you have to think about. And as a mama, I would be thinking, gosh, my baby is over there. He's hurt. How am I going to get, how can I get to him? All of that things. That's kind of another thing that I was just thinking about.
All right. Well, the fact that I did find, thankfully, Candy and Mel and you, Carrie, bought me enough time with Travis, is that Shad Khan had his $360 million mega yacht parked in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. See, I wonder where some of that London money's going to make sure this guy doesn't have to go ahead and find a hotel. Because when I covered Super Bowl 39, the pitch in Jacksonville was, we have enough cruise ships out there to subsidize the hotels. Where did I wind up sleeping? In my Jeep Cherokee Laredo in a rest area about 45 minutes right off of, I think it was I-95. And the only way I was able to take a shower was over in a rest area when I was able to get the guy who was in charge of the truck stop to give me the key to take a shower a couple of times, and I get him some good memorabilia. Couldn't have gotten away with it now because it's all online. But back then, when you don't have hotels, there are rest areas. Now, if I had the boat cruiser and I had my Honda Odyssey where I have a nice mattress, it'd be a much easier situation. But my goodness, this guy had a $360 million yacht in London. Well, no, not in London. Now I can really.
How big you say it was?
In New Orleans, it's a mega yacht. I don't know.
How long did you say it was?
I don't know how much $360 million buy you, but that's what he had parked in New Orleans. And Candy and I definitely walked a lot of those grounds there. So just wanted to get that out there. While I have Mel on, I think you're on to what?
400 feet long, 6-deck super yacht.
Well, it's bigger.
So Mel, I believe I have you on until. I think I have you on until what, 9 o'clock? Is that correct, Mel? I have you on until 9. Or all right, no problem. Yes, so we got to make sure we get the DeAndre Hopkins nugget in there, and that's what we're going to do. DeAndre Hopkins' future in Kansas City is play the tape, Candy.
Okay, you got to prep me a little bit for that one. Okay,
I did.
Here we go. Here we go.
I
know you've been on the long and tough side of this rivalry when you play for the Texans, and I know that Deshaun Watson, Bill O'Brien, were there any tough lessons that you learned being on the other end of this rivalry?
Tough lessons, the tough lessons I learned. Oh man, shit. we was up 24-0 on these guys, and they came back. The closest, I would say, the best team I've been on. Man, I would say, don't take it for granted. Just don't take anything for granted because you never know. Like myself, I was on what I thought was a Super Bowl team, and I got traded the next year. And so, man, just be appreciative and don't take it for granted.
So then my follow-up question will really make you feel a little bit better. If you can't beat them, join them, right? So with that said, you got Andy Reid, you have obviously Travis Kelce, and you have a myriad of other superstars. Would you say that Andy Reid has been like a father figure to you, and describe the rest of this Chiefs team in terms of how they welcome you, and the fact that you can welcome so much talent around you?
I would say, you put it very well. Andy has definitely been a father figure to me. Bringing me here, I think that's something that obviously we are a part of. And everyone in this organization, and since I've been here, Andy has, taught me a lot of lessons. How to be a pro. I thought I knew how to be a pro, and I've been playing 12 years And, he's pushed me to be an even better professional. And not just that, but a person and a leader. And so, for me, man, I'm very grateful. And everything he says, I absorb, mentally.
I'm not one to talk about the business side too much, so I'll try to make it very easy to answer. Number one, you played for teams where you made a little money. Was this the type of environment where it would be easier in the future to take a little bit of a discount to stay here in Kansas City?
Oh, of course. I think anyone, especially like myself, who's been highest paid and made a lot of money, would trade that to be in a situation and play for a championship. This feeling right here is better than any feeling I've had since I've been playing in the NFL. And so, obviously you have to go out and get your money's worth. And if you're having a Jamar Chase kind of year, you can't sit there and ask for a discount. But I'm not having, I'm not a Jamar Chase right now, and I'm not Justin Jefferson. But for those guys, I would say, like a T. Higgins, man, if I can get those guys advice, my younger self, go out and try to get on a team where you can win a championship.
All right, let me go over that interview real quickly before I turn it over to the crew. The first question I asked is, if you can't beat him, join him. He got a kick out of that one because, after all, the Texans definitely had some he struggled with the Texans, and now he's back with Daddy Andy Reid. Yes, when you take home down discount, you better believe it. So this guy, to me, I became a fan of DeAndre Hopkins because he's been through a lot of hard times. He was in Arizona. He told me during that interview that after he lost to Kansas City, he got shipped out to Arizona and subsequently wound up with Kansas City. All right, you know what? I'm going to go to Kerry Johnson first on this because she's our resident Chiefs expert. What are your thoughts about the interview in general and the questions that were presented to DeAndre Hopkins?
I was a fan of DeAndre when he was a Texan. So I love who he is beyond the game, and I love how he plays. So I really enjoyed your questions and how he handled that and all. I think that he has brought a lot of leadership to our wide receivers core and being able to help mold Xavier and help bring that missing piece in. I hope that he's willing to take another year and come back with us. Hopefully Beach and Reed can work magic. But I really enjoyed the interview. I was sitting here, I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just like who he is as a person and how he's always presented himself on the field and he puts forth. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, he's too difficult not to root for. Let's go to the chat room real quick with Ralph Williams. Hopkins wants to win. I think he would give the Chiefs a discount. Say, yeah, that's exactly what he said, Ralph, in there. So, and Ralph's opinion on overseas games, forget it. I guess he's not a fan of those. And there aren't too many owners who put their personal money into stadium. Well, we'll leave that. All right, I get it, Ralph. All right, so with that said, while we have Mel on, what are your thoughts about DeAndre Hopkins taking the discount?
Well, he's made the money, so it makes sense for him now to try to chase the Super Bowl because he's already made the money. Like he said, he was the highest paid receiver at one particular time, and there gets a point in time in your career where what are you playing for? Are you playing for stats? You playing for money? Or are you playing for championships? He's at that point right now where he wants to play for championships. Now he's 32 years old. Obviously, he's not the same D-Hop that he was when he was playing with the Texans, but he still brings value to a football team. And I'm sure there's a number that they can agree to that can bring him back because I think he can help the young wide receiver that they drafted this year in the first round. I think he can be very helpful for him. And then Travis Kelce is now what he once was. He can be that kind of safety valve that Travis Kelce has been, depending on whether or not he decides to come back or not. It can be that kind of safety valve that Mahomes is, that security blanket that Mahomes has had with Travis Kelce over the years. He can kind of, mold into that role. He had an opportunity, to catch a pass. He was wide open in the Super Bowl. Looked like his shoes were, it looked like his shoelaces were tied together. He just kind of tripped over his feet. And I don't know. Big game things happen like that. But he's proven who he is over the course of time, and I think it would be smart for the Chiefs to bring him back. Of course, he's going to take a discount. He's not the same player that he used to be. Right now, he's just trying to see if he can, cap his career off with a championship.
Great stuff. All right, Mel, if you can stay on an extra 5 minutes, that's all I ask. I can play the Kelce interview. If you can't, I understand. I want to turn it over to Travis. What are your thoughts about what you heard from, DeAndre?
I mean, y'all so nice. I love that y'all so nice and just kind people. I'm not. So this is just gonna keep it honest, man. D Hop was not the D Hop of old. He averaged 4 catches, 44 yards a game. Not even the half of a touchdown per game. As the postseason went on, he won one game. He exceeded 50% snaps for one game for Kansas City. As the season went on, his snap share went down week by week. In the playoffs, his highest offensive snap total was 38%. That was in the Super Bowl. That doesn't scream someone who's going to be re-signed by that team. That's saying that we're trying to find other ways for other guys to get snaps because he just doesn't have the legs right now. And that makes sense for a 32-year-old wide receiver. I'm not clowning that. I'm not shaming that. I'm just calling it what it is. I'm just trying to be objective here. He's not what he was.
I didn't
No,
mean
go ahead, Kari.
I would say that, that provisional pick also may have played a little bit in how many snaps he had. So that may have, I don't know.
In the Super Bowl though, you're gonna give up the Super Bowl just because you don't want to give up a provisional pick.
No. Did you see how my offense showed up in the Super Bowl? I did. I saw that by the first quarter. So let's be real. So if you're now playing for that provisional, you have a little bit. I mean, I don't think they gave up. I don't think Andy throws a team, but I also think that may have played a little bit. That's my take.
Okay. I mean, I'm me watching D Hop throughout his whole career. Me being a Jacksonville Jaguar, not just a media person, but also a fan of the team. I never liked D Hop. I respected D Hop because he was a dog on the field and he was dominant and he was a beast trying to for a defensive back to try to cover. I didn't see that this year, and I'm just being honest about that. Like, if you're bringing him in to try to mentor the other guys and everything else, that's dope. We got coaches for that. Like, if that's not what it is, then nah, man. Like, let's just call it what it is, and he gonna want rain chase, and rightfully so. But let's get that violin started. That's kind of how I personally feel about it, though.
Okay, well, listen, you covered the guy. All right, let's turn over to Mr. U, and then I want to make sure that we do get Mel into this segment here where we can plug him into the
you want me to have this?
Oh, yeah, Mr. U. What do you think of What do you think of DeAndre?
Even if I went before Travis, it's not piling on, man. This is where I'm at with it. I'm sorry, but I mean, his first 7 years, he was a beast out of Clemson, 7 1,000-yard seasons across the board. Fantastic player. We got traded by Bill O'Brien. Thanks, Bill, for one of the worst trades in NFL history. And then he went to Tennessee, and he was making claims, talking about right when we draw board until the wheels fall off. Quit on him in the middle. Quit on him at a very crucial point of leverage development and the team's growth. Quit on the team, and then went to KC. And don't get it twisted. He didn't go to KC because they saw a wide receiver 2 out there that they can get on free. That's not why. It's because of Rashee Rice and his situation. Then they had issues with injuries to Hollywood Brown and Juju. They had a choice to get him or Devontae. The only reason why they didn't get Devontae was because of the money. They were able to get a cap hit of about $5.5 million to get T-Hop to come in. That's all. It was about the cash. I saw the same stuff Trav saw. I saw the play. Matter of fact, I saw it in Tennessee too. If you want to be honest about it, I saw it then too. It was kind of similar. So now you got question marks going into this season now because you're hoping that Worthy and Rice are your foundational guys, I guess you can say. But what's happening with Brown and Juju and Mecole Hardman, I think is still there. Justin Watson, I think is still there. These are all free agents. So they've had to either get somebody in the draft, which doesn't sound like they're going to do that, but they probably have to anyways, and then get somebody out there off the street. If he comes back for anything more than 1 year, I'd be surprised. of that happening. 1 year that's stretching it. I don't think, like Travis said, I'm not sure that they even want him back, even on a 1 year deal. I'd be surprised if that happens. I'll come on here and say, you know what, I was wrong. They signed him to a 1 year deal. But right now, sitting here right now, I don't see it happening. He's going somewhere to try to find a Super Bowl. But it's not going to be in KC, I don't think.
Good take. All right, George and Candy, to wrap it up, and we're going to go over to our soundbite with Travis Kelce, and we'll let Mel off a hook here. I want to make sure Mel gets a piece of this one too. All right, George, give me your thoughts.
Basically, I echo everybody's sentiments here. I mean, he was a great receiver. We know that. But when you look back, like you said, Mr. U, look back at the last several seasons, he had 1,407 with Arizona in 2020. But then it tailed off the second year and the third year with Arizona. And you mentioned about Tennessee. He did go over 1,000 that first season with Tennessee, but then, of course, he's had some injuries and stuff too. But this past year, obviously, switching teams and that sort of thing, he ended up with, with less yards. I mean, in the 600 or 670 or something like that. So, I mean, yeah, his best days are behind him. And I agree with you, Mel. I mean, at this point of his career, he wants to latch on and wants that trophy, wants that Super Bowl ring. No question about it. But like you said, Mr. U, the question is going to be, do they have enough, or is he even in Andy Reid's plans for 2025? Time will tell. Time will tell.
All right. Candy has a final word on this subject, and then we're going to go play one more soundbite. Thanks, Mel. I wanted you to be a part of this last soundbite. I know you have to roll. We're going to lead off with you. Go ahead, Candy. Then we'll do our station break after the next topic.
Okay. So I'm not going to take a long time. It's going to be interesting to see who KC can all sign. I do think it really does depend on what Travis does, though, because I think as much as you guys say that you have coaches to mentor the young players, there is a different level of respect for young players with players that have been in the league for a long time and a coach. It's a different relationship. So I think it'll be very interesting, because I think if Kelce goes, I think they're more apt to sign DeAndre and keep him there as a veteran leader in that locker room. And I think I got part of that as a vibe from some of the questions that were asked to some of the other, like Andy Reid and some of the others, when we were listening to some of the other interviews during Super Bowl week. So that would be my 2 cents.
All right, let's go to the next soundbite. Mel, you're going to comment on it first, and we'll go with Carrie. Once you're done commenting, Mel, if you have to go, that's okay. All right, Candy, let's go to Travis Kelce.
Tony's always been, he's always had a helping hand in everything in life. And that's on the field, off the field. There's this yin and yang that you have to have playing this game, because it is a violent game, but you can't walk out of this building feeling the violence. You got to be able to have that calm, cool collectiveness, be able to get away from football. And I think Tony's been such an unbelievable mentor in that regard. And sometimes I don't even have to reach out to him. I can just watch the Amazon Prime, pregame or halftime report and hear what he says and take so much from it. And, I just have nothing but unbelievable things to say about Tony and who he's been for me in my career as I try and fill his shoes to this day.
Okay, I asked that question, but I also made a Lions reference to Charlie Sanders, the Hall of Fame tight end. He didn't know about him, but obviously I said, don't worry. When you get inducted into the Hall of Fame, then you'll know who he is, because you're going to see his plaque. With that said, okay, Mel, you got the first word on this. What are your thoughts about Travis Kelce having Tony Gonzalez as like a mentor?
Well, I mean, he couldn't pick a much better mentor. I mean, Tony Gonzalez for a long time, he kind of changed the game for the tight end position. I mean, what he did, Antonio Gates, what those guys were doing, really being the primary targets for the quarterback. I think he, catching as many balls as they caught, the amount of yards that these guys were getting. And then, of course, with him being his size, with the 50-50 balls, was very difficult for either a safety or a linebacker to compete with him. So he kind of changed the game. He's one of those basketball guys, so he's he can move a little bit as well. So I mean, that's a great mentor for him to have, somebody for him to be able to pick their brain. And with Travis, he's a great athlete in his own right. I mean, he was a quarterback in high school, if I'm not mistaken. So he had the ability to wiggle a little bit. Obviously, he doesn't wiggle as good as he used to, but he's a hard worker, and you can see it. It's paying off. He's a tremendous athlete. He competes at a high level. Tremendous competitor. I think you can see that it's weighing on him a little bit. Somebody like him, who, he's 35 years old, been playing this game at a high level. He has a certain standard every time that he steps on the field that he knows that he has to live up to. And sometimes that gets difficult to do year in and year out. The seasons are long. Their off season is, a lot shorter than what it used to be. Once Super Bowl happened, is over, you may get a week or two or a month maybe to kind of wind down a little bit. Then you got to get back in that mode again. You got to get your mind going back in that mode. And he's one of the guys that obviously they depend on, they rely on. Somebody like myself, who was kind of at the bottom of the roster, it's not as much pressure on me to go out there and perform because I'm not one of those guys that the team is relying on. He's one of those guys. So he's got to always be in tune, always be ready to go out there and perform at a level that not only he expects to perform at, but what the coaching staff and the franchise expect him to do, and to the level they expect him to perform at, and of course the fans as well. So, I know he's weighing retirement right now. I'm sure he's going to take his time with that, and he does have some other options, some things that he can do now, and that will ease, make that decision a little bit easier. I mean, it's never an easy decision because, I think like somebody had mentioned, it's kind of like you've been dating somebody for a long time, for 13, 14 years, and now all of a sudden, they decided, you decide that you want to call it quits. That's tough. That's very, very difficult. And not just the 13 years he's been playing in the NFL. I mean, he's been playing in high school. He played in college, high school, Pop Warner, Pee Wee. He's been doing this all his life for a very long time. So it's a very difficult decision because once you make that decision, you really don't want to have to go back on that decision. You don't want to vacillate. You don't want to go back and forth on that decision. You want to make that decision and then try to move on. But it is difficult.
Yeah, just a footnote to this whole thing. The Kansas City Chiefs do want an answer from Travis Kelce, I think by March 14th or 15th, to decide what his plans are, whether it'll be a retirement. All right, Mel, I know you have to get going, but you can't get going without letting everybody know how they get a hold of you. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, you can find me on all the social media at Melfar Jr. You can also follow, we have one for the youth here in Georgia and also in Michigan at Melfar Superstarfoundation.org. So I appreciate you guys, man. Have a great rest of the show. Talk to you guys soon.
Hey, listen, Mel, thanks a lot for saying the extra few minutes, but I want to make sure you got your opinion on. Thank you. All right. With that said, we're going to go to Kerry Johnson. What are your thoughts about that? I got to believe in Kansas City that you have to idolize Travis Kelce, don't you?
Well, he was my future for the longest time, my future ex-husband, but I have relinquished that to that Taylor can take that part of his life. I like Travis. And from the fact that I was a teacher and I loved the ornery little boy in the classroom, so those were my favorite because my son typically has a very ornery streak. So he reminds me of those kiddos that while they put forth the effort when necessary, they also kind of like the lightheartedness. As far as what I've read and listened to him recently, he put something out and said, since the Chiefs have had success, the extra games that he's been playing in the last 6 years equals almost another complete season. So while he's been with the team for 12 years, those extra games is equal to virtually 13 seasons of playing. And dang, yeah. I mean, it made me start thinking about the success that the Chiefs have experienced and how that works against the longevity of a career. I think this year we saw where he was taking, he was, when we got D-Hop, we saw where he was not covered as closely or as, double teamed as often, which gave Travis the ability to pull out. But I also think that he's been able to mentor and set the tight end room up for success as they move up. Because we saw Noah Gray have a lot of A lot of good stuff. Gosh, it'll be sad to not have him on the field, but at this point, I appreciate what he has done, what he has brought to the Chiefs, how he's, how we've watched him mature even. His first seasons, he was the playboy out there on the field. And now we see he's taken that leadership role and changed, and, he clicks with Mahomes and all of that. So, I'm torn. I want him back because he is one of my favorite players, but at the same time, he deserves to have the ability to do other things and enjoy his life, and not have all of the career ending. I don't want him to have a career ending injury or something like that. So, kind of a dual-edged sword there. What success also breeds the need to let them go sooner, I guess.
Well, and I'm not going to talk much about Taylor Swift thing. It's been fun to see that she's been around a couple of years, but let's face the reality. The body of work that Travis Kelce has done the last several years has been great. And the fact that they were able to win a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill, I think is the biggest story that has to be stated here. All right, I'm going to turn it over to George and then Mr. Yu, and then we'll go to the bottom to wrap up the topic. Go ahead, George.
Well, yeah, and that, to me, that's the elephant in the room, which you just described, Scott, because there's tremendous stress. There's got to be tremendous, as we know, publicity about their relationship away from football. We don't know. Maybe they've had a conversation, all that. Maybe he's getting, too tired of the game or banged up too much, or the injuries, and he's worried. She's worried about. We don't know. And I'm not here to talk about her, but I'm just saying that, yes, he's put in all these extra, and that is a very important statement he made, because it happens in all of sports. When you see teams like that at that championship level, and Scott and I have seen many over 45 years, when they play that many extra games in that short a time, or even in his case, over 3, 4, 5, 6 years, that does have a mental, but he's going to walk out on his own. He's not going to be forced to make his decision. He will go and he will make his decision and have the support of whether it's Taylor and his family, whoever, but he's been a great asset to the NFL and obviously a great asset to Chiefs football.
Okay, Mr. Yu, Travis.
Wow, this is loaded. There's a lot of layers to this. I'm gonna avoid any kind of comments about his leadership because this will take this show way off the rails. I'm telling you that right now. So I ain't gonna do it. But as far as him and Tony Gonzalez goes, honestly, you can't have a better mentor. I think Mel mentioned that. I believe Gonzalez is the number one tight end all time. I got stats to back that up. Nobody's done that yet. In regards to him, just legacy-wise, I think he's in discussion to be top 3 all time. I think he'd be in that place. I think Gronk has better numbers there. Numbers still do matter when it comes to stuff like this. But we didn't see him have his best game in the Super Bowl. We can talk about why that was and get into it. I don't want to mention the person. This is your show. You can talk about her all you want. On my show, her name never gets uttered. But honestly, it felt to me like he was not focused. You can blame it on people if you want to. It feels like he wasn't really focused on the important things. And it kind of played out because this year was probably one of his statistical worst years. And I'm like, what happened? Andy Reid is pretty consistent. You're doing the kind of same thing you're accustomed to. You're not learning too many new things. The old stuff has been working. So why pick something that's not broke? So how are you not able to function on your normal level? There's some questions I have about that, but another topic for a different day. He's just he's in a place now where he has to decide if he wants to come back or not. I'm not going to say he lost a step, but there were some opportunities there that got missed. The frustrations seem to come out. Some of the things I see him do on the field that people aren't talking about. Little shoves and elbows and something. I'm like, wow, that's not. I'm talking about leadership. I was talking about leadership. I'm going to leadership anyways, but that's not what you do to inspire the next crop of tight ends behind you. So there's a lot of things that he has to decide if he wants to continue to keep doing this on this level. The Chiefs can come back next year and be competing again in the Super Bowl. It's not out of the realm of possibility. He could be a big part of that. But he has to decide if he wants to do that. at his age, with the treatment on his body, what his body takes every year, it's something to think about. But honestly, he's already kind of cemented a good legacy for himself. I think he's a fantastic tight end. I think he's behind Gronk and Tony Gonzalez, to be honest. I'm not sure about Antonio Gates. I had to check the numbers on that one, but fantastic tight end, man. Just a bad year. Didn't block very well, and so just a lot of different things that went on that's pretty bad. But legacy-wise, fantastic tight end. Could have a better mentor than Tony Gonzalez for sure.
Great stuff, Mr. U. By the way, Eddie Prather, I was looking for you on Facebook, and I wasn't able to find you. So please let me know exactly which Eddie Prather there is, or Candy, just put my name in the chat. Let them know how you can find me on Facebook. If you want to send me a friend request, I'll be more than happy to have them. And I'd like to have Eddie on at some point during our NFL draft coverage. So Eddie, obviously, I look forward to communicating with you more, and I appreciate you being on here. There you go. So Eddie, look me up on Facebook, and then you can go from there. All right, Travis, your thoughts about Travis Kelce?
Well, Kelce it was a struggle of a year. I mean, I don't think that's being unfair in saying that. I think we all have eyes, and we can kind of admit that. It wasn't the year he's accustomed to having, for sure. We can definitely say that. Saying to Tony Gonzalez is kind of the person that he molds himself off, mimics himself off, makes total sense, because career-wise, before Gonzalez was traded away from Kansas City, this is basically a nearly carbon copy of Tony's years. I mean, you got 12 years in Kansas City, and it's almost down to the yards. This is looking like identical. But similar to Tony Gonzalez, when you get into your 30s and you'd have one of those down years, Tony never bounced back. Like, after Tony Gonzalez went under 1,000 yards in Atlanta, it never got better. It was downhill from that point on. And that's kind of where it feels like we are with Kelce. Whether you're going back into last year and kind of seeing that it went a little bit low downhill again, like, it didn't seem like he had the burst. It didn't seem like he had the legs, if that makes sense. Like, as far as the knees are concerned. And honestly, just the transformation from Travis Kelce was invited to the barbecue not 2 years ago, and now my boy look like he's a cop. I don't know what happened there. Like, I'm just calling it what it is. Like, if you just know how he looks, he's talking about how he's playing across the board. He got some decisions to make, and it probably didn't help that his brother retires last year, and is probably in this year after their podcast telling him about how great it is over here. Come on to the dark side. Like, all these things for a 35, near 36-year-old are absolute conversations, because that's how much is it going to take for me to get off the couch and have to deal with this pain in my legs. I'm 40 years old, and I've been going through that ever since I turned 30, like, and just from college football. I can't imagine what it feels like as an NFL player with millions of dollars in the bank and a celebrity girlfriend, maybe even wife on my arm. No. I ain't got to deal with this. Let me go on this podcast and eat a Hot Pocket. Like, this sounds great. So I understand it.
I haven't heard Hot Pocket in a long time. That's funny. That was a classic. And again, Travis always comes up with them. Eddie, still haven't gotten a friend request, but hopefully you'll be able to locate me so we can connect. Anyway, Candy got the last word on the subject. And after you do that, we will have our first station break, but don't mind doing it a little bit later, because this show is loaded and I have a great crew. So my station break can wait, considering what we have. And so we have a few more topics to go. Don't think they'll be as in-depth as this one, because we had 2 videos. Go ahead, Candy. You were there with me when we recorded this.
So, yes, I mean, all the comments before about Tony Gonzalez and having him as a mentor is great. One thing that, and I know some of us don't want to talk about the whole Taylor thing, and I get that, but we also have to remember that they're in a relationship. She was just on this huge tour. So did he go to parts of the tour? There was a different type of, like, stress, I would say, trying to get together and seeing each other and stuff like that when she's on a tour and he's playing football. It's not your normal, like, she's home with you, or she'll even travel with you and be on the road with you. And mind you, it's not like they're married. It's not like that. They're still in and I don't know if I would say infancy stage because that's not what it is because it's been how long now. But he's also trying to develop a personal relationship with her and grow closer to and stuff like that. So yes, that brings a whole different element. Was he still on his game and always 100% on the football field? And I think that's where he's struggling because I think that's what he gives is he wants to be able to give 100% to the game and the rest of the guys that are on the field with him. And if he can't, then that's the time that he says, you know what, it's time for me to hang up and it's time for me to retire. And I honestly believe that that's where his struggle is right now because he doesn't want to give anything less than 100% to the guys and the game. Yes, he still wants to be a champion. I can tell you from one of the clips that I heard, one of the sound bites, is he really, and I honestly would believe this, if the Chiefs would have won, he would have definitely retired. Definitely. He really, really wanted to win this game. And I think he really kind of in the back of his mind does want to retire, but he's got this itch that he wants to go out on top. He doesn't want to go out on that game. And that might be the reason why he comes back. Otherwise, I think, honestly, he would retire.
Okay, one thing before I go to a station break promotion that I'll have on my own tomorrow. Coming up at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, a special edition of No Limits. No Limits, I will have local actress Rachel Galvin on. I worked with her over the Deerfield Beach Observer. She was in LA, moved to South Florida. She's done a lot of acting work in the South Florida area, as well as was my colleague at the Deerfield Beach Observer. So at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, I will be interviewing Rachel Galvin, Galvin, a local actress in the area and somebody that is a colleague of mine locally. This is an interview that I will tell people I'm not a one-trick pony. I believe that you have to be able to expand as much as possible. You'll get every bit of that tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Time with Rachel Galvin. She promoted it on her end today. I certainly want to make sure I promote it on our shows as well. Now we'll turn over to Candy. We have 3 more topics we'll get through, and we appreciate all the participation in the chat room all the way around. Eddie, like I said before, I'm sure we'll get that friend request straightened out. I'm looking forward to having you on later. Go ahead, Candy. Thanks for break. 3 more topics.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by the South Florida Tribune Publishing Company, which published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. And the foreword is written by none other than also a panelist tonight, Mr. George Eichhorn. They both did a great job. You got to get this book. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. It talks about being in the media industry for over 40 years and how the media industry has changed. So go grab your copy today. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can buy that. You can also get some of our great merchandise. There's a plethora of all kinds of great information on the website as well. So go check it out. If you ever want to be a guest or have show ideas, you can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And if you want to sponsor a show, you can call Scott 954-304-4941. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. One last thing, if you see a red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel. I honestly don't know why you wouldn't have already, but please do so. Share us with all your friends and family. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange, you never know what we're going to be talking about. Thursday nights on Sports Exchange, we talk hockey and baseball. And then on Fire Up, again, you never know what we're going to be talking about. So tune in to find out. Back to you, Scott.
All right, a few more topics to go. Going to go through them relatively quickly. I'm going to turn over to Travis real quickly on this one, and we'll go around the horn. The Patriots added former Jacksonville Jaguars coach Doug Marrone to their coaching staff under Mike Vrabel. What are your thoughts about the hire, Travis?
You're muted, Travis.
You're muted. I didn't take sign language.
Of course, I'm muted because let's take this thing back to COVID times. Yes, not a lot of huge thoughts. Like I always thought Doug Marrone was a solid coach, and it makes total sense that those two would have that close relationship. Like they were already friends during his time in Jacksonville, so it makes total sense. Again, Mike Vrabel, someone's big about building up that O line and D line, building up those fronts. That will make then total sense to bring in a former NFL coach who primarily focuses on the offensive line in Doug Marrone. And yeah, so it's a solid hire. Outside of that, I don't have much else to take from it. Should be fun. I don't know.
All right, Mr. U, what do you think of the hire?
Mine's be a little bit short too. I see that Vrabel trying to stack the deck a little bit. Marrone's history is right out there. You can see it. He's known best to be an O-line guy, but that's where he had most of his underachievement in that role. So I don't know if he's going to come to New England in that role there, but guess we'll see. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. Marrone's not a guy that you hear thinking like, oh my God, you get excited about it. This is not that. So we'll see what Vrabel's trying to put together, but one that I will say that I think the Patriots are going to be a lot better than people think they will be or expect them to be. I really believe that's going to happen because they got some really good pieces in place if health isn't a factor. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Candy, obviously, and I covered the team. Candy, what are your thoughts about the hire?
I think it's a good hire for Mike Vrabel. It brings a lot of experience to the role and to the team. He did play, in that capacity. But Marrone has worn many hats in the NFL. He's been an offensive line coach, an offensive coordinator. He's been a head coach twice. I think it'll be interesting, though. He does bring a lot of experience to the sideline. I just hope that the players will listen to him and take from his experiences.
Carrie, your thoughts?
I'm going to agree with Mr. Yu and say that I really feel like that the Mike Vrabel is setting up his staff to be as successful, and that I would not sleep on the Patriots because you started to see them kind of getting their feet underneath them towards the end of the season. So I really think this is going to push them back to where I will have to not like the Patriots again in a very loud fashion. But that I will also say that this last year, I still don't like Tom Brady. I won't ever like Tom Brady, and that's okay. He likes himself enough for me. But learning more about Bill and getting to know him, I think that we're going to see some of the older Patriot way come back a little bit with Vrabel at the helm. At least that's kind of what I'm hoping for. So I don't have a lot of commitment or comment, but that's kind of what I see is that they're not going to be I think it'll be a sleeper team for some, but for me, no, I think they're going to be something that's going to need to be reckoned with.
Great stuff, Carrie. All right, George.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's been so many different jobs, like you guys were saying, so many different teams. I mean, you look at the list and in and out of college, in and out of the pros. That's not necessarily a bad point, but the thing that's troubling is, he was not successful as a head coach to his satisfaction level that he wanted. But the thing is that, Vrabel is the one that wants him back and extending the invitation to come to the Patriots family. I mean, you want people like that. You want people that have experience. He's 60 years old now, so he's not going to be around too much longer. But these coaches move along and move so fast, as we all know, in and out of these assistant and coordinator jobs in the NFL. So I wish him well. He has a ton of experience, and maybe this will be for him, maybe his last stop on the coaching ladder. I don't know.
All I'll say is I work with Doug Marrone. He's he's a super nice guy, a great coach, knows a lot about football. Anytime you can hire a quality coach and an excellent coach, you do it. Great move by the Patriots. Onwards we go. Now, Mr. Yu, correct? You obviously follow the Giants, or are you a Giants guy?
Am I a Giants guy?
Or were you? I'm trying to remember. I'm not. I
Yes,
don't mean to
I'm a
start.
Giants guy. Absolutely.
Okay, well, good. This topic was tailor-made for you. That's okay. This topic was tailor-made for you. The Steelers reportedly have interest in Daniel Jones for Arthur Smith offense under Mike Tomlin. Your thoughts about the potential? I always like to make. Don't worry, we got a couple of topics to get through this for you. And to welcome you back to these.
Comedy portion of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, we all believe in laughter. Rest in peace to my father-in-law, Fred Ebling. He was the king of comedy, and my cousin Cindy called him kettle corn. So there's a little bit of information there.
Oh, brother, I'm waiting for the punchline. When a source says the Steelers can do worse than Daniel Jones, you know it's not good. I mean, our O-line situation was bad, but there was, in watching the tape, I had heated disputes about Daniel Jones with Giants fans and NFL fans, period. So I watched a lot of Daniel Jones tape. And the biggest indictment, in my opinion, is that he had open guys. He had opportunities. He just never saw them. He couldn't capitalize on it. It wasn't that the O-line was so bad he didn't have time. That's not true. It's really not true. It may be true in some small sample size, but overall, largely it's not true. He had plenty of guys open, and they were there, and he would not deliver the ball to them, and they're wide open. Can't explain it. Can't understand it. Maybe it's mental. Maybe it's psychological. I ain't a doctor. I don't know. But something's wrong with that. So for him to even be considered over here in Pittsburgh, I'm like, there's two things that got to be going on with this one. You got to, because they're talking about Rodgers potentially coming over there, the Stafford maybe Wilson coming back, or having some combination of Fields. Them like, okay, so you guys want a quarterback, but not in the draft. You want a free agent quarterback. That's pretty clear so far. But the problem is twofold, because Russ was a mobile quarterback. You can say, I mean, he wasn't what he was Super Bowl year, but he was still a mobile quarterback. So you want to bring in a guy that's a mobile quarterback. Is Daniel Jones your best option as a mobile quarterback? He is mobile. He was for us too, but is that what you want? They can stick with Russ and be okay, but Arthur Smith, he had a problem with Super Bowl winning quarterbacks calling audibles at the line of scrimmage. So, okay, so get a guy who hasn't won Super Bowl. Is that the plan? Because it's just making any sense to me. So I don't know why they would do this. And Mike Tomlin, honestly, outside of Big Ben, I don't think he's known to be a quarterback whisperer. Maybe you guys see something I never saw before, but I've never seen that before. You got to be that to have Daniel Jones out here running your offense for you. You got to be a quarterback whisperer, and Mike Tomlin is not that. He got a stellar record regular season-wise. 19 years now? Don't mess it up. Don't mess up your potential 20-year bid by bringing Daniel Jones inside here to run your offense. It's going to be a problem. Something's not adding up.
That's a statement. That's a statement of the night.
Something's not adding up. I watched too much tape with him. Something ain't right. So I'm like, don't bring him inside here and mess up your legacy. If you know what I mean. Go elsewhere. I'd rather you have Mac Jones than you have Daniel Jones. I'm telling you. Don't do this. So I hope. Sorry. Took too much time, but my bad, y'all.
No, you did. I thought it was great. That's why I let off with you.
I couldn't help it.
No, that's okay. You can help it. It's okay. That's why I sent it to you. Because you introduced comedy to the big show. All right. And Travis Holmes was laughing his tail off in the background. If body language can tell you anything, Travis Holmes did. But take your body language and give me some verbs, brother.
Travis is going to destroy me. That's what we're going to have.
Travis, you're muted.
You're muted, man. There you go. Lip reading. Unmute. There you go.
I'm on a new computer tonight, so pardon me. Okay. It's a real problem trying to find this mute unmute button. I'm not even joking. It really is.
That's a real problem, brother.
You're preaching to the choir. New equipment's hard for me to. Go ahead, Travis.
This is a funny one to me, and I appreciate it, Mr. U, giving his true feelings. No, saying it like it really is. But this is fun. So, first of all, I don't believe the rumor. I don't believe it. Just like I didn't believe the whole Trevor Lawrence rumor that just came out last week from this same quote unquote Steelers organization and sources. So let's just start there. A week after you have the Trevor Lawrence rumors, now you got Daniel Jones rumors coming from the same organization after we found out the Trevor Lawrence rumors weren't true. All right, cool. That's one red flag. The second part is, let's assume just for a second that it might be true. Just because that's what we're talking about, right? What does legacy get you? And I'm saying this mainly to Mr. Yu's original responses. He was discussing Mike Tomlin's legacy, as far as now having these losing records because he's such a dang good coach, and he is. But what is that? What does that result in? In the words of Mike Tyson, hey, I don't care about stuff like legacy. I'm dead. Like this. It doesn't matter if you're able to make it to the playoffs if you're not going to be a championship team. And with Russell Wilson as your starting quarterback, this iteration of Russell Wilson, this iteration of Justin Fields, you're not going to be a Super Bowl team. You're just not. And that's just being real about the situation that we're looking at. What will give you a Super Bowl opportunity or a Super Bowl chance is maybe going 2-15, 3-14 in this following season with Daniel Jones leading the helm. Like, this man is never. These are people that is way too proud to ever tank. They're not gonna. Their players don't have it built in them. They're not going to do this. Then they're not. But you know who does tank? Front offices all the time. They ain't gonna tell you they tanking. No. We're doing this. This is the best thing we can do for the organization. Daniel Jones at quarterback, and they trot that man out there and don't get sued for antitrust violations because they technically speaking are trying. But they're not. Like that's the way I see this is. Hey, no. We're going to sign Daniel Jones because he's the best option we have. And they're going to win 3 games and get that great quarterback class in 2026. Come on, baby. Let's go.
Oh, that's funny. The dialogue between you guys. All right, Candy, go ahead. These two guys are a classic team. We got to make sure Mr. Yu and Travis Holmes are on shows together. This duo is a new dynamic duo inside the pigskin. Go ahead, Candy.
His completion percentage in the NFL is 64.1%. His touchdowns to interceptions, 70 to 47 interceptions. Really? And you want him on your team to lead you? You think you're going to lead? You're going to do better than you did this last year? You think you're going to go further? No. I'm sorry. You're not. He is not the answer. I don't know what the answer is in Pittsburgh because they can't seem to figure it out. And they can't decide who they want, what they want. Wilson, Fields, Rodgers, Jones. Oh, let's just keep throwing up names and let's throw a dart at a dartboard and see who we wind up with. No, Mike Tomlin needs better. Exactly. Like you have to have a game plan, start figuring it out now, and then go from there. Is the draft going to be the answer? You don't have a high enough draft pick. So, and is there enough good quality quarterbacks coming out? Because let's face it, the NFL now has started, we're going to draft a quarterback. Let's put him in right away. Not that is the answer. I do not think that is the answer. But who else is out there that you can go out and get and you think you're going to win with? Because you've already thrown out, you have 4 different names that are veterans already. What other quarterbacks are out there that you can get that will give you a better chance? Because Daniel Jones is not the best of all of them. I don't think, personally.
All right, Kerry Johnson, I got to put you on here. Are you enjoying the show or what?
I am. I really am. And thanks to you guys, I'm having a blast. So I thought that was a joke when I read it, that Daniel Jones to Mike Tomlin. So I was like, I laughed at it and I'm like, maybe that's a punchline. And then I went out and I was like, oh, it really isn't. I don't think Tomlin has the desire to tank. I mean, I don't think that's part of his culture. So that's the only thing that screams is, I want to tank. I don't know. And to have him as the lead, I mean, stick with. If you're wanting someone that is has the experience, stick with him. I don't know. I thought it was a joke. That's just me. And I'm going to need to bow out. I apologize. I apologize, you gentlemen, and Scott and Candy. But I appreciate you letting me on. But I need to go because I'm getting a call that seems to be important.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much for being on, Kerry. Look forward to you next time. All right, we'll turn it over to George.
Yeah, I think it's very unlikely to happen. I agree with what you guys are saying. and Candy gave the statistics I was going to give them, but she beat me to it. But that's okay. Touchdown, interception ratio, bad. I mean, this guy's had, unfortunately, I was not a big fan of his at Duke either, but he has had a really rough career. This is not somebody that is ready to step in and lead your team for a 17-game season. I'm sorry. To me, I don't know what he's going to do, turn his career around, if he even can do it. But he's not a friend of mine. I'm not a fan of his, and I think Pittsburgh would be making a big mistake, Scott, in going after somebody like this for being their starting quarterback.
Bro, they ain't gonna do that, man. This is about pride, man. Somebody said that on this panel tonight. Somebody said this is about pride. This is all this is about. Look at the draft is coming up in less than 2 months. What are their draft needs? Wide receiver, D line, and cornerback. They're not even talking about quarterback. They already feel like, you know what? They're gonna try to live and die on defense. I talked about this multiple times on our show. They're gonna try to live and die on the defense because it's been working. So because it's been working, they're getting real comfortable and not making adjustments because winning games 17-16, it's been working for them, and they still getting the playoffs behind this kind of stuff. It's like, but that's not that can't last forever. That gravy train going to end at some point in time. You got to start thinking about, you know what, building the offense. Right now, their offense was, I don't even know how they even got in the playoff picture. Their offense was brutal. You know what I'm saying? Besides Pickens and his annex and stuff, not blocking downfield for one thing. We talked about that multiple times. You know what I'm saying? And then dropping passes and just not running routes very well and just not being accountable. And then the attitude and the other annex on the field. They need help at the offense without question, but just getting a wide receiver is not going to solve this problem. And I feel like it's just about pride. We live and die by our defense. You know what I'm saying? Steel curtain, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go ahead and just keep running it back, doing what we did before. It might work. They might get in the playoffs next year, but it's like, this can't continue. No. So getting a quarterback who's able, I mean, am I right on that, though?
But that's the issue is the Steelers have an identity and they have a philosophy of how they're going to build this thing, not significantly different than the Green Bay Packers. Like they have the way that they do things, and the way that the Packers do things is in the draft. They don't maneuver from that very much. And the Steelers are in a lot of ways are the same way. Even if they do a trade, it's not a big one. And if they bring a guy in, it's not going to be a big contract. It's going to be a stopgap.
6 or 7 or something.
That's what it's going to be. That is who they are at their core. And their owner and GM seem to be very comfortable just making the playoffs consistently and just maybe being able to get hot at the right time and win a Super Bowl. Like they seem just fine with that. And I had this conversation 2 years ago with someone that was talking about general managers. He was like, no, you don't understand, because this is someone who knows, who was in the room with these guys. They're like, no, these owners, there's a lot of them. Their only goal is not to win a Super Bowl. Their only goal is to consistently make the playoffs. If you can become the Pittsburgh Steelers and just get hot at the right time, they're happy every time because the check going to cash always.
Why are you talking about Jerry Jones tonight?
You know what I'm saying? The checks are going to cash. The fans are happy. Everybody's good. They just don't want to be the laughing stock. If you're not the bottom 5, they're fine. If you're in that bottom, you're in that middle 10 to the top 10, they're great, but that's not the goal. The goal is just consistently being there, and that's what I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are. So until someone puts that fire in them to make them want to be better than just that middle to top tier half, they're fine. They are the gold standard of the NFL. They're right up there in those top 10 teams.
My Giants need to learn this philosophy. My Giants need to learn this kind of philosophy. Just be good enough. That's what we're shooting for. Just better than we had last year. Just be good enough.
Well, number one, I'm not drinking the Jones Kool-Aid. Number one. Number two, I'm not. Mister, you already convinced me of that earlier. Yeah, you definitely talked me out of that one, Mister. Your influence has definitely hit me deep between the ears. But I think they should give Justin Fields another opportunity to get the job. And another thing that mentioned in the chat room that Eddie Prather thought, and I really liked it, is maybe you should go after Matthew Stafford.
Whoa! That's our guy. That's our guy. You don't. No. Y'all find somebody else. Stafford is for us. He's not for you.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go.
That was against everything that Pittsburgh does, though. That would be against everything that Pittsburgh does. It's possible, but it'd be that'd be different.
Yeah.
They're going in the free agency to find somebody back there. They're not going to the draft to find a quarterback.
Well,
they can do either one.
Just a little FYI, I will be on an NFL conference call with Daniel Jeremiah on Thursday, finding a little bit more information about the NFL draft. I'll probably bring to light next Thursday, next Tuesday night on Inside the Fiction. And for those of y'all that participate, Mr. Yu, I hope you're on next week too. I'll be able to provide some insight from that conference call if you're available. All right, final topic of the night. You thought this last one was comedy. Well, I'm going to shift the narrative to philanthropy. And this is a really great story. Mr. Yu, though, before I go any further, you say you do some work with the church and all that, ministry and all that. I'd like you to bring that to light a little bit because George is a religious person too. Tell us a little bit about your background there.
My background, it's getting to be pretty long. We're almost going into 29 years of this, but I think a lot of the stuff that we were doing, me personally, was connection with people going into, ministries going into impoverished countries and helping out with their water treatment, building houses for people who didn't have any homes, building ministries, places to worship and stuff, and just tilling the ground and helping people farm and garden and have food sustainability. Those are the kind of things that we've been connected with. Hope that answered the question. I mean, that's essentially it. We've been doing. I mean, I'm in a ministry. I've been in for about 4 years now, and they're pretty global. So they're doing a lot of good work around the world, which is like things along that same line, which is really awesome. Pretty proud to be a part of that. As it pertains to this topic, this is interesting because I didn't really. I've heard people do stuff before, but.
Well, here's where I'm going to go with it. I just wanted to get some background. Yeah. And I know you won't be available next week. That's okay. Obviously, whenever you come on, you come on. But this topic is ideally suited for you. And it's a feel-good topic. Denver Broncos, are you ready for this one? Denver Broncos donated 15,000 helmets to the Colorado high schools, 277 total. It's the largest philanthropic investment in the history of the Broncos and one of the largest investments of any kind in U.S. high school history. What are your thoughts of that noble donation?
I hate to be the person on this panel dislike this, but I'm sorry. I'm like this everywhere. Maybe it's coming from New York. Maybe it's the conspiracy there. I'm like, but okay, why y'all guys doing this? That's my first question. I'm like, okay, it sounds philanthropic. It sounds awesome. You know what? We got all these head injuries going on. My grandson plays football. He moved around at running back, cornerback. So he's been taking some pops out there. You can't help but think about it because people in the NFL and in college are having these massive head injuries, and sometimes they don't come back from it. So you think about that kind of stuff. It makes sense. It meets a need to have helmets that can kind of help. From what I'm reading about this article, which is my first time hearing about it today. So thanks for the tip on that one. It's supposed to help out, be more of an extra measure of safety, more of a safeguard. There's analytics behind it and some data collection, which is not a good situation. We get into it a little deeper, but I get why that makes sense. But I'm kind of just wondering, okay, why the right hand is doing this? What's the left hand doing? I'm trying to figure out why did you decide, Denver of all people, to decide, you know what, that we're going to go ahead and I don't know them to lead in the area of analytics, and I'm not sure that they are leaders in that area. So what kind of precipitated this? Maybe you guys might know. I have no idea, but I'm just asking questions.
All right, okay, but here's what I'm going to try to do to answer it. As I reiterate, 15,000 helmets to Colorado high schools of 277 total. That's an impressive philanthropic effort, isn't it?
No question. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. One of these days when you come back out, we're going to get into head injuries, but I want to make sure that this philanthropic effort was out there mentioned, and something doesn't get enough attention to when it came across my desk. It's something we were able to do. So I'm sure that you probably feel pretty good about what the Broncos did. Well, 277 high school, 15,000 helmets. That's a lot. I'm impressed with that. What are your thoughts, Travis?
I mean, to Mr. Yu's, the core of his question, it is technically there's a real reason why they're doing this. And yes, one of the big reasons is the fact that across the nation, many of the high schools have already stated that they've received a reduction in the amount of people who are playing in high school sports because of the head injuries.
Right.
The more people are doing more flag football at a younger age and not actually having their children play football, things of that nature. And this would help that. Like it's a PR in some ways. Don't get me wrong. Like it's like a lot of philanthropy. It is also it's giving, but with the caveat, it's giving with the bigger goal of helping me on the back end. Like, so there are benefits to it. Yes, I'm giving these guys these $900 and something, nearly $1,000 helmets. Like it's going to cost them for all the high schools in Denver, like just over $15 million. That's not nothing. But I mean, big corporations and billionaires do that all the time. Like they'll donate just $15 million, $20 million to this organization that technically is my organization, but not really. And then I get a tax write-off of $9 million. So at the end of the day, what are we really talking about? Like the funny money. But in this situation, this funny money that also can come back to me tenfold on the back end, because now we look positively on the NFL. We look positively on the Denver Broncos. Not to mention some of these high schools, I don't know if you guys have even paid attention to this, but some of these high schools are hitting pause on, they're not actually accepting the helmets so far because of potential liability with the helmets and everything else. So there's another part of this equation that's not even talked about. We just heard about the original, hey, the Denver's going to give us this. Meanwhile, some of the high schools are like, I don't know if I want some of these because of the strings that may come attached with this. So all that to say is, like all philanthropic activities, there's a lot more to the story, and it's never as clean cut as we always want it to be.
Okay, fair enough. Candy, some thoughts?
So I'm reading more and more about it. It's talking about the unprecedented initiative distributing more than 15,000 of the new Rydell Axiom, and if I mispronounced them, I'm sorry, smart helmets at no cost to every high school tackle football program in Colorado. It will supply all 277 high schools statewide with the helmets. The schools will receive 25% of the donated helmets each year of the program, 25 through 28. Now, these helmets are actually custom fit because they actually also give information, and they use 3D imaging of each athlete's head for a personalized fit and protection system to improve impact response. It also comes with standard with the Insight Smart helmet technology for impact sensing and reporting. The Broncos will provide each school a 4-year subscription to the analytics and the device to easily monitor and analyze team impact history. The data will help coaches identify and address flaws in techniques to reduce head exposure and optimize performance.
Okay. Now, why is that important? Hey, just so anybody who doesn't know, I used to manage an insurance company for years, and when I said liability earlier, you just said that we're going to be recording the impacts of. I'm sorry, you're going to be doing what? Recording. Okay,
Data
so cool. So data collection. Okay, cool. So when you talk about liability, when someone says I have my son has CTE in 2 years, and you just recorded that it happened in this hit with this team and this situation, who's at fault? Who's liable? Who's getting sued? That's all that I got from that. As a Mr. Insurance guy, that's exactly what I heard from that. And some of these schools are like, wait, hold up. We want the helmets. We don't want the data collection. We don't need that kind of trouble, if that makes sense.
And then on the other side of it, if the team, if the school decides, you know what, we don't want these helmets, we'll stick with what we got. And somebody has a really traumatic brain injury, somebody will say, why do we have the Axiom? If we had the Axiom, my son wouldn't be in this state.
Oh gosh.
So this is going to go on. This is not
all right. Well, that's okay. We can put it in etc. Now that all three of you chimed in, we'll give Icorn the last word. No, that's okay. I'm kidding with you. All right, Icorn, you got the last word on this. I've learned a lot from each of these three, so I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, there is just a lot of questions here, but the thing is still that they're trying to help the young athletes. They're trying to help the football players in the state of Colorado. To me, that means a lot, whether you're a rich owner or not. But this whole part about analytics and analyzing injuries and that this is a whole area that's a lot deeper than just this short time we could talk about. It's an important area, but I would have to read more up on it than that. But as an organization, I think it's a tremendous thing that they're doing by donating helmets.
Well, I brought it on the show. I like the gesture. That's all I'm going to say about it. All right, Travis, you have the last word on it.
I just want to ask a question. Are they donating helmets or are they donating an opportunity for you to be a lab rat? Because all I got from that is they are giving you they're presenting you the opportunity to be in a clinical trial where you can let us know just how TE happens in high schools, and we can kind of figure out what to do with that information. That's what I got from this. But for the low cost of free, you just have to show up and put on these helmets. Good job, children. That's what I heard from that. It just sounds great when you put it in the form of, hey, it's like my insurance company tell me, hey, I'm going to give you this thing to tell where you can tell me how fast you're going. And it's at no cost. You just put it in your car and you let me know. And then later down the line, I get that bill when it says my premium went up because I was speeding too much.
The fine print. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, all right. And Mr. First Down says, you guys and gals believe in QBs in this draft? You know what? First down, that's a good question to ask me personally next week. But go ahead, Mr. U. What do you think?
Next week, not this week. Okay. I ain't gonna be
the only reason why I'm saying it is I'll be on that conference call with the NFL on Thursday. I'll have more information than I have now. That's all.
Okay.
I don't know enough about it. Otherwise, I'd sit here and tell you right now.
Believe.
I'm just trying.
This is my buddy right here. We talk draft stuff all the time. I'm doing mock drafts all over everywhere now. Believe is a strong word. I like Jackson Dart. If we don't get a quarterback in the first round, I don't mind taking him. I'd be good with. I know he can hit open man. So all we really need is a decent quarterback that can actually make throws. But I like Cam Ward more than Shador. I think that he's a vast improvement from what we had because we were at rock bottom with DeVito and Locke and Jones. It was like you can't get worse than that. I mean, a blind quarterback might have been better, but that's kind of where we were at. So either Ward or Dart to me are good, but beyond that, now McCoy, I don't know a whole lot about. I've seen some. I'm from New York, so I watch some Syracuse when I can. I don't know a whole lot about him, but sounds like he's a pretty decent guy, quarterback wise. But beside that, nah, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in anybody else really. So it's just those two guys.
I can speak from experience. Cam Ward to me is the best quarterback in this draft. Anybody that passes on him, let alone the Titans, they're making a major mistake. I saw Cam Ward.
Please make that mistake, Titans. I appreciate it. And he's a Titans fan, by the way. It's the first.
I'm sure you probably would. Hey, Candy, why don't you tell Mr. U the little thing that you heard about Cam Ward over the bowl game that he'll definitely want to hear. Why he played that first half.
I heard the reason why he played the first half was because there were Giants down there scouting him and they wanted to see him play. So that's why he played the first half. He didn't play the second half. Now, I don't know if he would have played at all in that game, knowing that he's a prospect and knowing how high he is. The one quote that I can say is that Cam has said, on any of the teams that pass up on him, he's going to remember them. And I like that because, I mean, let's face it, that, you got to play with the incentives too. Sometimes. But he's good.
Wow, so now I see what's going on here. Mr. First Down here is a Titans guy. We got a Giants guy. Now we have a little built-in here. I heard. There you go. Now it's all mixed. Now it all comes back to me here.
He want to trade back in the first round. He wants to do that. Ask him. He'll tell you. He wants to trade back. He would love to.
Pick him up right around that Lamar Jackson range.
All I can say is Cam Ward's the best quarterback in the draft. I saw with my own 4 eyes. Period.
I mean, he's the only one that's like a true on-time quarterback. Like that's the primary thing. Is the rest of them are not first-round guys.
He's got leadership. He's got legs, and he can throw the football. What more do you want? I'll leave it at that. I know the show's gone a little while, but it was a loaded show. Thanks for the 5 that held out the longest. With that said, say, Candy, one more station break. We go around the horn. Everybody has an opportunity to let them know how they get on with us. Go ahead, Candy.
Tonight's show is sponsored by the South Florida Tribune Publishing Company. Published a book last year, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, and the foreword was written by the other panelist next to him, Mr. George Eichhorn. They have been in cahoots for over 45 years. And yes, you heard that right.
That's an old word, cahoots.
Don't age me, George. Don't age me, please. But It talks about old school media versus new school media. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's also a link to our merchandise store and a plethora of all kinds of great information, even some cool pictures, if I do say so myself. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to be a guest on the show or have show ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to sponsor a show or advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941. Monday nights we talk baseball, Tuesday nights football, Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange. You never know what's going to be on, so tune in to find out. Thursday nights on Sports Exchange, it's baseball and hockey. And yes, this Thursday night, Four Nations Championship, USA versus Canada. And then there's Fire Up. Again, you never know what we're going to be talking about. So tune in. If you see that red subscribe button, hit it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. We'd love to have you as part of our subscribers on South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. Thanks, Scott.
All right. Travis Holmes, let everyone know how they get a hold of you.
Man, you can find me on all the socials. Travis D. Holmes on Twitter, on Blue Sky, X, all of them. If your mama's on it, I'm on it. Maybe even MySpace. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. You can find my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars on BigCatCountry.com. I mean, we cover everything from all the press conferences, the general manager search, dossiers on all the general managers on the market. So maybe if your team is, looking for a general manager next year, still take a look, because I deep dives. It's some great information there. We have the Duval Dive podcast on Wednesdays. Myself and Kyle, the student of the game, Nash, where we talk about everything Jacksonville Jaguar. So definitely like and subscribe us there. But for the most part, that's what I got from you guys. Thanks for having me as always, and Duval.
Great stuff. Look, glad to have you back on here. I see a dynamic duo has been born between Travis and Mr. U. Great stuff. Mr. U, I'll transition over to you. Let everybody know how they get over.
Oh, that's nice, sir. I appreciate that. I'm on all the socials. Well, I don't think I'm on Blue Sky though, but on everything else, they call me Mr. U. Our T3 that Thursday thing is our sports shows, our sports flagship. Every Thursday night at 7:00 p.m. EST, we talk sports across the board. We have fun doing it. We got an NFL draft special coming up. I think the first night of the draft will be our first annual one. So I want to kind of promote that a little bit. I want to have as many faces and friends in the studio as we can hold. April 24th, I think probably around 6:30, all the way into the end of the first round. So we're going to have fun with that. But we're on all the socials. You can find us on our YouTube channel, of course. Also, youtube.com @ They Call Me Mr. U. Please support us there. Please do what Candy said for you guys and hit that subscribe button. Keep us going. Keep us putting out some great content, hopefully, that you guys can enjoy. So thanks for having me on again, Scott. Trav, love you, bro. It's always a pleasure to be here.
You guys were absolutely fantastic tonight. I enjoyed watching the dialogue between you guys. I really did. I'm
glad he didn't destroy me tonight. That was my main thing.
No, I thought you guys were fantastic.
I'm not here to destroy my people. No.
Let me tell you, when I see a dynamic duel in front of my eyes, four eyes, I roll with that. You guys are. What are you talking about? I know what I saw. I know what I heard.
I hear the old Batman theme in my head. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. You guys
a dynamic duel is great. Even Bo's applauding it with it. And he's working with both of you. Seriously. Yeah, Bo's work with both of you. He knows what you're both about. You're both great. All right. You know what? I also want to thank Terry Johnson and Mel Farr Jr. for being on. George, let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
Follow me on the South Florida Tribune website. I have a column under the Motor City Tribune. At the end of that column, there's always a link to take you to Amazon, where I've got my book for sale, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, chronicling over 50 to 60 years of broadcasting in the Motor City. And Scott's in that book, and so am I. But anyways, you can follow me on, Twitter, X, whatever it's called, Sanji Sports 99. Email me at gicorn@yahoo.com. You are also on Facebook, and I'm also under my name at LinkedIn. Thank you.
Well done.
One last thing, Scott.
Yeah.
I want to promote Tuesday nights, 7:30. You can always find me on 3 Chicks in a Pod or Chicks and Salsa. It just depends. I joined a group of 3 chicks that had 3 Chicks in a Pod, so we changed it from 3 Chicks to Chicks and Salsa. 7:30 p.m. The Chicks Podcast. You got to check us out.
Oh wow!
And Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, between 9 and 10, Sports Wrap. Myself and Ralph Williams, Leo Haggerty are your crew, and whoever else we decide to add. It's a good show. We rebranded the show, and there's no question that the potential is incredible. So on behalf of Kerry Johnson, Mel Farr Jr., Candy Ebling, George Eichhorn, Mr. U, and Travis Holmes, my name is Scott Morganroth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside the Picks. And once again, we want to congratulate Coach John Bonamago for landing the job in Tennessee. He enjoyed his work here, but he's going to do some great work up in Knoxville. Congratulations, Coach. Love you. And looking forward to getting on the phone with you. And hopefully we'll talk a little bit. Now I know who I can contact when I get to Knoxville. So meanwhile, take care, everybody. And we look forward to Mr. U and Travis Holmes on a future episode when the schedules permit. God bless everybody and have a great week. Bye now. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.